every single one of you.
I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
This is my home. They're gonna need a wrecking ball to take me out of here.
Good day, everybody. Whether it's morning, evening, or anywhere in between, welcome to unRekt Traders. Today we're going to take a look at render, RNDR, and we're on the weekly right now. Monthly doesn't have a ton of data, but you know, for the most part, it is bullish. There's no real mean reversions or anything like that right now. The only thing I can say is that there is strong support at the $6.60. So on the weekly itself, we do have a possible target coming down to the 20 white, sorry, at 628. So if we look, we have the 10 on the mean reversion. So we're almost at that 10 green right now at 857. And then we have the 20 coming down. So, you know, we have the resistance at 1011, and we have the possible target of coming down to support at 728, 730 area. And the only reason why I say support is because the aqua on the quasi is extremely high right now. Even if we did come down to support, then we're at that 730. We may see a wick down to the possible target at 630. It's probably doubtful. It's possible. You know, we did have a pretty strong wick here as well. So it is possible. But, you know, we do have to get below that 10. And if you look in the past, we've been riding that trend line 10 for quite some time. You know, we had a little bit of a drop down to that 50. You can see that the 50 was well above the plus 100, so it acted as nice, strong support. And then, you know, from that 50, top of the 50 band, it just kind of continued to push up. So we do have the 10 mean reversion at 855, and then very strong support at 728 with the possible target with a wick down to 628. Now this is... we have 3 days left on the weekly. So, you know, even if it did come down here, it's the same thing as always. You know, if we have a wick coming down here, the body should close above that support. So even if it did wick to here, then, you know, you're looking at a possible 15% return to come back up to, for the body to close above support by the end of the week. So that's a nice little thing to look at. We'll come down to the daily. On the daily itself, we have a strong, well, not strong, but we have support at 857. So you can see that the 200 purple quasi is above the plus 100 range. It's not the strongest. And then we have the 10 and the 10 starting to push up as of right now. So we do have that mean reversion wanting to come up to the 10 here, red, or up into resistance. The 20 itself is acting as resistive as well because the 20 is below the minus 100 here. So we have that resistance. We can see that it has been resistance as the 10 and 20 we're going into trend back down to this 50. 50 holding support as of right now. And then we're literally just caught in between the resistance and the 50 as of right now. Now we do have the 10 that wants to push up. So once it can break this resistance band at 960, it's going to want to push up to this 10 at 1027, 1030, and more than likely up to this resistance band, try to break it one more time. And then we may see that return to the 20 here, which is at 1070, let's just say 1080. And then, you know, try to go a little bit higher, but we'll see how it reacts once we kind of get up into this resistance band and what the quasi is doing at that time. So pretty much a new daily, but as of right now, we're kind of stuck in between here. And then, you know, we could go, the 10 could reverse and come back and send us to the support at 858. But we do have, like I said, we do have that mean reversion to the 10. So it's just a matter, does it want to stay in trend to the downward direction? You know, the likelihood of us coming to this 10 is pretty high, and then continuation to the downward direction. All right, coming into the 4 hour, we have possible target here at 1030, coming up to the aqua 50 here. So we can see that the aqua 50 came into that quasi range. Now the 10, as the 50 was coming in, the 10 was, you know, it got pretty high, started coming back down. Now the 100 itself is, so the 100 kind of went into trend on April 1st, let's say. And, you know, we've been in trend on that 100. So the 100 has been acting as a nice resistance band, and that is at 985. We can see too when the, you know, as the 50 was coming up and the 10 was rising, we came up to that 100, we hit it perfectly, and then the 10 came back down, and then we had our mean reversion back to that 10 with the 50 acting as support because the 50 had moved in. So the 50 is acting as support at 942, and then we have our resistance at 986 with the possible mean reversion back to 1030 or to the top of this 200 Bollinger Band at 1048. That would be 1048 would be a nice return because then we're basically on this whole previous support line for the most part, and then also filling in somewhat of this imbalance. I guess this kind of did it anyway, but you know, we have this imbalance candle that kind of come up into, hit that resistive zone up to that 200, and then see if we can continue in that downward direction for the daily and the weekly to continue down in that downward direction. So once we get to here though, we'll see how the 200 holds or the 100. But again, as of right now, like I said, you know, we're basically caught in between. I'll even go with 930 to 986 until something breaks here. The 4-hour window closes in another 2.5 hours, and then we'll see which way we kind of want to go. Jump into the Nexus now. So on the Nexus, on the yearly, we opened above the yearly. We were looking for continuation in the upward direction because this yearly is higher than the previous. Now when we did open, we pushed up a little bit, trying to get to that previous year high. We failed, and then we literally came back down into that pivot, hit the pivot perfectly. Couldn't have been any better. Flirted with the top of the range a bit before basically, you know, going to the previous year high and then pushing up to that yearly R1, finding a little bit of resistance on that yearly R1, and then, you know, up to the yearly R4 for the most part. Now the quarterly we have here, you know, we are looking for a continuation in the upward direction on the quarterly as well. And when the quarterly did open, price did push down into that quarterly, basically right to the pivot, kind of flirted with the pivot a little bit in the upper range. And now, you know, we're showing a little bit of showing a little bit of weakness just off the top of that quarterly range. But like I said, we do want to push higher, and then, you know, the break of this range would bring us up to that previous, try to get to above the previous 3-month high to the yearly R4. And if we break below this range, then we're basically looking at, you know, coming to this yearly R2, because there is a bit of support here, or down into that yearly R1. Ultimately on the quarterly though, you know, we want to see that 3-month S1 or coming into the previous quarterly range, which would act as support. On the moving into the 1 hour, just so we can see the monthly easier. The monthly itself is, and we are looking for a continuation in that upward direction. Now we've already broken this lower level, and it's acted as resistance twice now. Once it does break below that yearly or monthly range, sorry, then, you know, we are looking at coming back to this previous range here, which would act as support, or to these levels here at 640. But again, 710s would be our real first support level if we continue to drop down. Now if we do get above that monthly range, then we're bullish again, and then we're looking at coming up to the previous month high, taking out, you know, the previous week high and that kind of thing. Now I will note on the weekly itself, we do have a naked weekly right now. Now it doesn't mean we have to go up into it this week completely, but the weeklies are bearish. We are looking for a continuation to the downward direction on the weekly, which we have already gotten. We've dropped below the weekly S2, and now we're just kind of flirting with that weekly S2. Do we fall to the weekly S3? It's possible. But, you know, once we get above that monthly range, especially this pivot, then I would really be trying to target this weekly naked. And like I said, we don't have to hit it this week. It could be next week. It could be 4 weeks from now. But the possibility to get there is there. And that would give us a possible, basically 14%. So definitely a good target range to aim for on the weekly. And if we get there, that's great. It's 14% in the bag, and we can go from there. So, you know, could we drop down further before going back up? 100%. So it depends on what time frames you want to look at and what you want to trade on. But, you know, this is a naked, very possible target area. If we look at the machine from the weekly or the daily, you know, we are looking for those lower levels. But again, strong support at that 866. So just because of well, I shouldn't say strong support, but we do have current support at 866 with the possible target coming to that 690. So, and then on the weekly, I think it was 622 with strong support at 730. So, all right, so that's all I got for render. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and hit the like and subscribe, help support us, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot.
Visit unrekt.me and download our free powerful indicators. and join our community of traders in our Discord server and get full access to the Machine Suite Indicators, the Nexus Suite Indicators, and the Nexus Screener. Visit unRekt.me and download our free powerful indicators, and join our community of traders in our Discord server and get full access to the Machine Suite Indicators, the Nexus Suite Indicators, and the Nexus Screener.